At some point across all our lives, we've heard the following statements. For example, eating 7 to 8 almonds a day makes us smarter, or that men should be strong and not show emotion, or even the fact that girls wear pink and boys wear blue. But the real question is that who established these rules, and are these laws universally constructed? Hello everybody, my name is Maha Siddiqui and I'm a 4th year psychology student at Hariwat University, and today I will be discussing my research project, which was on the obedience to the unwritten rules of behavior, a study on the association between social norms and life satisfaction and different self-construal. The objectives of our presentation at hand aim to discuss the introduction gap in literature, the research questions that this research aimed to answer, hypotheses, our methodology, the findings of our study, and the conclusion and future directions. Now, when we talk about social norms, we are discussing the informal rules that govern an individual's behavior within societies and contribute to a variety of cognitive processes. And when we talk about life satisfaction, it is the overall evaluation of an individual's quality of life based on their own criteria. Now, bear in mind that individuals' judgment of their own life satisfaction is based on comparing several self-set standards, and self-construals are defined as how individuals view themselves at fundamental levels, whether they view themselves as separate or connected to others. Now, although different self-construals exist within literature, there are two main types: interdependent self-construal and independent self-construal. Now, when we talk about the gap in literature, while social norms and life satisfaction are quite broad in nature, previous literature has analyzed both these variables separately, and research has not been successful in studying both these variables and exploring a third variable as a moderator. In our case, however, we looked at social support. Social support is the perception and actuality that one is cared for and has assistance available from other people, and most popularly, that one is part of a supportive social network. Now, these supportive resources can be emotional, informational, or compassionate, tangible or intangible relationships. Social support allows an individual to adapt to their surroundings and socialize better within their groups, which has a positive influence on their life satisfaction. Therefore, the aim of the current research was to establish an understanding of the association between social norms and life satisfaction, where the presence of social support is seen as a moderator in connection to their view of self, also known as their self-construal. Moreover, literature has not emphasized enough on how individuals' independent and interdependent view of self may be a predictor for optimum life satisfaction, as a person's view of self promotes assertiveness, which can increase and have a positive influence on life satisfaction. Therefore, the research at hand aimed to answer two research questions. Does an individual's level of adherence to social norms determine their life satisfaction? And if so, do different self-construal have different extents on both? The second question was, can social support moderate a relationship between social norms and life satisfaction? There were 4 hypotheses that were investigated during this research. The first one being, individuals with a higher independent self-construal will report lower levels of life satisfaction compared to individuals with a higher interdependent self-construal. The second hypothesis was, individuals with a higher independent self-construal will report lower levels of adherence to social norms compared to individuals with a higher interdependent self-construal. The third hypothesis being, social support will moderate the relationship between social norms and life satisfaction, where higher social support will increase the effect of social norms on life satisfaction. Lastly, we hypothesize that independent self-construal, interdependent self-construal, and age will be predictors of an individual's adherence to social norms. The methodology for this research was quite simple. However, there were a few criteria that had to be met. For example, participants had to be currently enrolled in university or be employed, and participants had to be between 18 to 55 years old in order to take part in the study. The sample size recruited for the study was 200 participants, However, 3 were excluded due to not meeting the inclusion criteria, and 44 of them were excluded due to more than 50% incomplete responses. Therefore, the final sample size used for the analysis was 153 participants. The gender distribution of the study was approximately 41 identified as male, 109 identified as female, 1 identified as non-binary, and 2 identified as other. The current study used a cross-sectional survey designed to obtain quantitative data through an online questionnaire, and the participants were recruited using the snowball sampling method. The survey approximately took 15 minutes of the participants' time, and they were asked to complete the survey using the Heriot-Watt University's research portal known as Qualtrics. Participants were recruited using different social media platforms such as WhatsApp, Instagram, and Snapchat. Prior to beginning the study, participants were given the information consent form, informing them of their participant rights and ensuring their anonymity of the data. Followed by, once the participants had consented to participating in the study, they were directed to the questionnaires. The questionnaires were as follows: the social norm espousal scale, satisfaction with life scale, multidimensional scale of perceived social support, and the self-construal scale. Moving on, let's tell you a little bit about the scales. Firstly, the social norm espousal scale is a 14 self-report item that measures the extent to which individuals value norms. On the other hand, satisfaction with life is a 5 self-report item questionnaire that assesses the overall life satisfaction of an individual. The multidimensional scale of perceived social support measures perceived adequacy of social support from 3 sources. The range of the scale is from 12 to 84, where a score between 61 to 84 means that a person has high perceived social support, and the score is obtained by adding all 12 items together. Lastly, self-construal scale measures the dispositional tendencies such that individuals vary in their self-construal. The scale has 2 subscales with 15 questions in each: the independent self-construal and interdependent self-construal. Now moving on to the most interesting part of the study, the findings. H1A was not supported as the findings of the study showed that there was no significant difference in life satisfaction of individuals with an independent and interdependent self-construal. However, you may find it interesting that H1B was supported as the findings reported a significant result where individuals with a higher interdependent self-construal indicated a higher adherence to social norms compared to individuals with a higher independent self-construal. Furthermore, H2 was not supported as well as social support did not emerge as a significant moderator. Therefore, in this study, social support did not strengthen the relationship between social norms and life satisfaction. Moving on to the findings of our last hypotheses, it is worth noting that the interdependent self-construal and age emerged as strong predictor for social norms. However, independent self-construal was not a predictor. Therefore, H3 was partially supported. Now moving on to the conclusion. The findings of the study contributed towards the phenomenon of life satisfaction and social norms. The study opened new avenues of research on the psychological and behavioral consequences social norms and life satisfaction might have on an individual by introducing social support as a potential moderator. And although previous literature has briefly acknowledged the vital role of self-construal in determining one's life satisfaction adherence to social norms, literature allows researchers to investigate detailed theoretical explanations as means of providing why identifying with a self-construal is important. Bridging this gap in literature, the current study demonstrated several predictors that can predict one's association to social norms as well. Bearing the limitations in mind, the future study could be enhanced further by doing the following. Firstly, future research can look at an equal gender distribution, followed by exploring different cultures and a larger sample size. As shown in Figure 2, most of the participants were residing in the UAE, which lacks generalizability, and future research can recruit participants from different cultural backgrounds, taking culture specifically and gender into account. Moving on, future research could also use a qualitative methodology instead of a quantitative methodology, as using a quantitative method might have caused a slight difference when obtaining responses, as participants may have faced difficulty understanding some of the questions, which might have resulted in inaccurate responses. Furthermore, social support can be investigated as a moderator for depression and gender stereotypes across different cultures by assessing the various aspects of social psychology and mental health. The findings might provide new avenues for studying the importance of social norms. Thank you for watching.